Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Tracy's Tuesday Talks. We're recording this on a Monday, so please forgive me, y'all. My name is Tracy Latona, owner and founder of Golden Rose Financial Coaching, where I guide growth-minded people who are stressed or anxious about their finances to conquering their money goals. And with me here today is very special guest, Hannah Morris with the Veteran Mortgage Team. She is a mortgage broker who has a heart for serving veterans, who is a veteran, and helping people get into the home of their dreams. So Hannah, thank you so much for joining me today. It is so awesome to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the talk.
Yes. So Hannah, what brought you into becoming a mortgage broker?
So I transitioned out of the military and I have two small children and my husband is still serving. And I was like, man, I need something that fits my lifestyle. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. It's something that's, in me to, get there someday. So, I was thinking a lot of roles. It was right after COVID. So like there was some remote, but it's kind of going back to the traditional workplace. So it was actually kind of challenging. And when I came across this, I was like, this is interesting. Our company is remote. So I was like, this might be a great opportunity. It's definitely a challenge. And I've loved it so far.
That is awesome. What do you love most about what you do?
Just educating people, veterans specifically, about their options when it comes to home ownership. So many people think, if I rent, I'm renting because I can't get a mortgage because I can't afford a home loan. And a lot of times, it might be the same price to have a mortgage. So I just want to educate people and show them that, hey, here are your options. Maybe it's not an option today, but maybe in 6 months we can work towards that goal. So just giving them their options and going from there.
I love that. So what I'm hearing is you got a heart of a teacher. You're not trying to corral people into like a one size fits all option.
Right.
And you don't have a problem with telling people, hey, it's going to take some time. It's okay to wait a little bit.
Right, exactly. And yeah, I don't want to, I kind of want to just present the options and then they make the decision, because at the end of the day, you can't force someone and coerce someone to buy a home, because that's probably the biggest investment someone's going to make in their life. So just presenting the options and being honest and upfront from the beginning instead of trying to, trick them, because that's not going to work out in the end.
Right. Awesome. So I know that you specialize in VA home loans.
Correct.
So when we bought a house in March of 2020, like we got the keys the week everything shut down. We started that process in January of getting connected and all that. Like there were several realtors that I'd spoke to that were like, ooh, VA home loan, and we're kind of like scared of it almost. So let's start off with, what is a VA home loan?
Sure. So the VA loan is backed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. So it's for veterans, and it's a great option for veterans, and sometimes obviously spouses of deceased POW, KIA members can qualify as well. There's specific specifications. It is probably the best loan product out there in terms of benefits and opportunities. So let's start from the beginning. So the VA home loan, it's a 0 down payment if you would like, right? So if you don't want to put any money down, you don't have to. So that number, so there's a specific amount that you can qualify up to. So it's based on the county of where you live. So, in California and LA, it could be a lot. It is a lot higher just because of the price of living, right? In DC, it's a little higher. But, for majority of the country, as of 2023, it's $726,200. Now it's increased from year to year. I have heard some talk that it will increase a little bit for 2024, but those numbers aren't finalized yet. So with that $726,200, you can get a house up to that amount with a 0 down. Now, obviously, you have to qualify for that amount too, and not everybody's going to qualify for that amount, and maybe you don't want to as well. So that may not be the best option, right? So you can get up to that amount. You qualify, and then the big thing is it depends on the lender. Our company, for example, can go down to a 500 credit score. So each lender, the VA doesn't place a specific minimum on a credit score. Like I said, we go under 500, and then the debt to income ratio is also dependent on the lender. So we can go up to 55% for a manual underwrite, but then if you get automated approval, basically, you can go higher than that. So it just kind of depends on the system and your specific situation. So like I said, 0 down payment. Obviously, one of the biggest misconceptions I'll talk about is closing costs, because people think, oh, 0 down payment, 0 money, like out the door, 0 money, which not necessarily the case. Closing costs are included in every home loan. That's just standard for the industry. Now, this is more the realtor side. You can get seller concessions towards the loan. So, I only paid, when we bought our house back in 2021, we only paid a couple grand instead of, I think it was 14 grand with, when it was all said and done. So, because the seller conceded. So, it's a great option. It's one of the only home loans that you can put 0 down payment, right off the bat, which is huge. So, great product. Another important thing is, so it has to be your primary residence. So you have to, you ideally have to move within the home in 60 days. There is some exceptions that are specified in the guidelines if you can't move into the home within 60 days. One thing is, though, you can have multiple homes under a VA loan. So it's all based on the occupancy requirements. Now, normal occupancy requirements are you have to live in the home for about a year. And then, for example, you could potentially buy a new house and rent out, for example, if you wanted to, build some income, you could rent out that house. Now it has to fall within, right, the $726, $200. Like I said, could go over that amount, but you have to start, that's when you start doing a down payment. You have to make a down payment. So a lot of times what people do is, and my plan is when we move out of this area, we're going to rent this house because we have such a great interest rate, and then we'll buy because we still have entitlement left over, my husband and I. So it's a really awesome loan. Now, if we're moving, in a couple of years, we want to sell this house, great. We actually get our entitlement restored. So we're back up to that $726,000. So there are so many options with the VA loan. It's a great product. There's eaches with each type of loan in the industry. So, there's rules and guidelines. So, when I actually take a client that is a veteran, VA loan is always the first option, but there is once in a while, there is certain circumstances where maybe an FHA loan might be a good option. So when I look at somebody's loan, I say, hey, VA loan might not be a good option, but there's other circumstances, there's other options for you.
So I'm glad that you brought up you can have more than one home under the VA loan, because I've heard that there's been a lot of misconceptions that you can only use it once.
Right.
I was under the misconception that you can only have it, have one house at a time. So if we were to sell this house, we'd have to pay it off first and then reapply for the home loan. So what you're saying is we could have 2 houses. We would just have to stay in this one for a year. Mm-hmm. And then the other one would have to be up to or less than that cap of that 700.
Right. If you want the 0 down payment, right.
Gotcha.
Now, if you go over that cap, the overage, so, the extra would be a 25% down payment. So kind of a significant down payment, but, you're buying in a more, now, take for granted too, you still have to qualify, obviously with the 2 mortgages. Now, if you rent, that can be applied. That rental amount could be, the money you're getting from the rental can be applied and help, offset the balance. But that's another thing too. You just have to take that in mind. And obviously a lender that's what they do when they look at your application, they determine all that.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. Hey guys, audience, just because, and cover your ears, just because a lender says, hey, you qualify for this amount up here, guys, know your budget, know what you can afford, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah, call me to the mat on this, but at least in our experience, our budget was $125,000. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And our lender was like, oh yeah, you qualify for up to $200,000. I'm like, right. There's no way in heck that we're going to be able to afford that kind of mortgage for $200,000. So I bring that up just to say, y'all know your numbers. This really helps with not having that debt piece, having money in the bank, and having a down payment would definitely help lower that payment as well,
Yep.
for sure, and put instant equity in the house too.
Exactly.
So I love that option of the 0%, just for the simple fact of like having lived that military life ourselves. Like when the military moves you, sometimes there isn't housing available on base. Sometimes the apartments are filled up, and it's like you don't have a whole lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to live close by, because if you or your spouse like have to be at PT at 5 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
you gotta live, so you don't have the opportunity to go
Right.
far out and commute.
Right.
So
Right.
I do like that as an option for sure.
Right.
So are there any drawbacks that people should know about when it comes to the VA home loan?
Okay, so there is a funding fee. So the funding fee, so for a first time, if this is your first purchase with a VA home loan, the funding fee is, I don't want to get the amount right, it's 2.15% of the loan amount. For subsequent houses, like your second home, it's 3.3%. Now, you can get it waived if you or your spouse, or whoever's the veteran has a VA disability, right? And they get compensated for that disability. It has to be at least 10%. So that's an easy fix. The funding fee is just waived. And then also you can use the disability for additional income, which is huge. So yeah, that amount gets typically, unless you want to pay it up front, gets financed into the loan amount. So we get tacked on to the loan amount. Another option, and like you were mentioning, when your realtor was like, ew, VA loans, like I'm not familiar with them, I'm very uncomfortable. There is a stigma, and not really sure why, because actually I just saw something that VA home loans the percentage that close is higher than like any other loan, which is crazy. But there is a stigma, and I think it comes from the appraisal, because government-backed loans obviously have kind of more stringent standards, and rightfully so, because it is a primary residence. So more stringent standards when they go through the appraisal. So when the appraiser comes and looks at the home, if they see chipped paint, for example, they might say, hey, the buyer needs to fix it. Now you can negotiate in the VA loan, you can negotiate that. So you could say, it's okay, buyer, just give me whatever amount of money and we'll fix it. Now that's something, it depends on the type of loan, but with the VA loan, you can negotiate that. So if there's issues with the home. So I think that is sometimes a fear. And I think it's a fear too, because, if you list your home for 220 grand and then the appraiser comes back and says, no, it's only worth 200, the lender can only lend up to 200, not 220. So you just got to keep that in mind. And I think there's some fear there. But if it's priced right, I mean, and the comparable houses in the area are, have sold for around that amount, there shouldn't be any issues. So I don't really see a negative per se. I mean, conventional, obviously, if you went conventional, it would be a little more flexible with the appraisal, and there's a little more wiggle room with that. But I think it's a phenomenal option, and you can't go wrong, honestly.
Yeah. So I've heard, now please speak into this for sure. I've heard that some sellers are wary of the VA home loan because of the tendency to appraise under the asking price.
Right.
So
right. Yeah. So I mean, and I think, sorry, when I said buyers with fixing the thing, I meant sellers have to fix the paint. Now I'm thinking I said it wrong. Right. But you know what I was saying. But yeah, so that is a fear. But I think what's important is that you have a knowledgeable realtor when the buyer is, with a knowledgeable realtor saying, hey, this house is overpriced in comparison to the houses that have sold in the past month in this area. We need to go in low, or, and we have to have that conversation, because I mean, if you don't have those assets to cover that difference, if you have to go in and saying, hey, I think this is gonna, instead of 220, it should be listed at 200, but it's okay, I have the 20 grand to cover it. Okay, that's fine. But if you don't, you need to really have an experienced realtor that's going to below, you're going to put an offer low, because chances are, if it's overpriced, I mean, there might not be a lot of offers on the house anyway. So yeah, it's definitely a conversation where the realtor has to understand the market, and you really have to trust your realtor. Yeah. Super important.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So it's not necessarily the VA undervaluing stuff. It's just
Right. Exactly.
think their house is worth more than it's actually
Exactly.
worth.
And I've seen it, in this area, North Carolina, I've definitely seen it. I live right outside of Fort Liberty. I've seen it. Houses are way overpriced. And I have realtors here that I work with, and they're like, yeah, the house market is really overpriced. And then these houses are sitting on the market for a long time. So yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation. But yeah, trusted realtor is key,
Thanks for answering that question.
Yeah.
Because like I've heard that before, and I'm like, hey, let's just get some clarity on that.
Yeah.
So what else do you wish that people knew about the VA home loan?
Man. Besides the whole zero down misconception, that's like the biggest, like, oh, we want zero down. Another thing I will say is, yes, my company specifically can go as low as a 500 credit score. That doesn't mean you're going to qualify for a loan at 501. Your chances are you're not. And the reason is people say, what credit score do you need? What credit score do you need? The correct answer should be, what does your credit history look like? If you've had multiple late payments in the past 12 months, you're not getting any type of loan. I mean, that's standard across the board, right? So understanding, hey, why is my credit low? Because why is my credit 520? Because I've had 6 30-day late payments on my credit card in the past 6 months. That's going to be an issue unless there is a significant reason why it's late, and we can actually get those removed. So there's a couple options. You could talk to the creditor, and sometimes they'll do a generous removal of late payments, obviously if you've paid them back and you're on time and all that, right? But there's other options. Working with Tracy to get everything in line. And working with a credit repairman as well, who kind of knows what they're doing and can file those dispute letters if it is something that boils down to not just your organization and your financial strategy, but also you need to get rid of those late payments, or fight something that's illegal, or happening that's fraudulent or something like that. So there's some options, but yeah, we definitely go down, like I said, go down 500. But that doesn't mean that's a misconception too. Like, oh, I can get a credit score on 520. I can get a loan on 520.
Yeah.
I have to look at it. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get a loan with that kind of score.
And I'm kind of glad that you brought that up, because I will fully admit, and this is work that I need to do. My initial thought is, if you have a 500 credit score, you probably shouldn't be in a house. Like, you shouldn't be getting a mortgage.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
House is a huge responsibility. When stuff breaks, it is on you. We spent dang near $1,000 this month because we had a plumbing emergency.
Technology, right?
Thanks for joining me back. So I'm really glad that you brought up that 500 credit score, because as I shared my thought of people with that 500 credit score probably might not be a wise choice. The thought occurred to me, wait, I've had so many conversations with people who are afraid to cut up their credit cards or close their credit account. They hate debt. They want to do it. They want to be debt free and not have be in that cycle of having to play the credit game. So hearing that you can still qualify with a lower credit score, and you look at the situation. So it's going to be a different situation when you have people who are having these mispayments, and that's the reason why. For those of you guys who want to use a home loan or go through the VA home loan, and are afraid to close those accounts because of the lower credit score, and you're afraid you might not qualify, guys, listen to what Hannah just said. She looks at the whole situation. So Hannah, if you had somebody that had a 501 credit score, who had a 6-month emergency funds and a down payment, theoretically, because I don't want to put you on the spot and get you in trouble later,
right?
Would they be more likely to qualify?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the what it comes down to, right, like you said, looking holistically at it, I have to run my system, which is an automatic underwriting system, and basically spits out pricing, products and pricing and their options, right? So another factor is the 501 credit score is obviously going to have less loan options, and the interest rate might be a little higher versus somebody who has 750. So that's also some. So yeah, exactly. If they're all on time, they have a 501. Yes, there's definitely going to be options. Are the options going to be a little bit more limited? Yeah, definitely. But they could qualify, if everything's, square. So yeah, definitely. And what I do typically for myself, is there an option where I could do a soft credit pull application so it doesn't hurt their credit score? Because when we do a hard pull, obviously it dings your credit. Now, it actually doesn't dig it that much if you haven't had a hard pull in a while. It only digs at a couple points. But if you keep doing hard pulls, you just bought a car and then you just did this and then somebody just randomly pulled your credit, that's going to hurt your credit score. But if I just do it, I haven't done it in a while, it's not going to hurt it that much. But like I said, I do the soft credit pull, doesn't hurt your credit score, so I can look at it. Because if we are on the border, last thing I want to do is get you, too low, and then it's like, oh, I don't have any options. So definitely do a soft pull. It's literally the same as our application, just with a soft pull, and then it pulls for one credit bureau. And then I go in, and if it's like, hey, everything looks good, I can run 90% of it except the automatic underwriting system. So then I said, okay, it looks good. It looks like you would qualify for a loan based on everything else. Let's do the hard pull. You're ready to start shopping. Let's get you the pre-approval. Let's pull the credit. And then I can pull the credit and run the product and price, run the AUS, and yeah, we could be on our way. So that's what I like to do. Unless that person I know is ready to go, is ready to start shopping like tomorrow. I usually do the soft credit pull.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So Hannah, do you do just manual underwriting for those who don't have a credit score?
Yeah, so there is some options for manual underwriting, and basically we do we look at their payment history with utility bills and all that kind of stuff, because obviously people pay cash with stuff. We need other options for people that don't necessarily have a credit score. So yeah, we look at it. We'll do look at their payment history for other things for sure.
Awesome. Well, Hannah, when someone's ready to buy a house and they want to by the way, real quick, another question. Can you serve anybody in the country, or is it just in North Carolina where you're at?
Yep, we can serve all 50 states, which is awesome.
Awesome. I love that. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and work with you as their mortgage lender, how would they get a hold of you?
So I have a couple options. I am on Facebook as hmorris. Might be a common name, but you can reach out to me and email or phone number. What's the best way to drop it?
Just say it out loud and I'll write it down and put it in the description.
Sure. Perfect. So my number is 570-575-4358. And then my email is hmorris@theveteranmortgageteam.com. If you go to the veteranlendingteam.com, that's also our main page, like my company. So, you can get a hold of us there. There's a number to call. There's a messaging system to call. You could say, hey, I'm looking for Hannah Morris, and whoever picks up, like basically it's a call center kind of with all our loan officers. Whoever picks up will send you to me. So yeah, there's a lot of options on Facebook. I try to post a lot of educational stuff because, education is power. So yeah, I want you to know all about it.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for joining today. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, and just being willing to debunk some myths and bring clarity to a lot of misinformation around the VA home loan.
Absolutely, Tracy. Thanks so much for having me. And thanks for all the hard work you do helping people be financially free.
Woo, awesome. All right, guys, get a hold of Hannah for your home buying needs. She really is wonderful. She has a heart to serve. And veterans, get out there and support veterans. Talk to Hannah. And I will see you next week, guys. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching to the end. Please like, share, and subscribe this video with your network, your friends, your family. Thank you so much, guys, and have a blessed day.